Welcome back. A community boat building project has seen the launch of one of its creations on the River Clyde. GalGael is an organisation which helps people with mental health issues and the long-term unemployed to gain valuable life skills through carpentry and construction. Well, I went along to see the St Ayle skiff, which was built by the group as it was officially handed over to the Glasgow Coastal Rowing Club. Building a boat is no easy task, and here at GalGael they know only too well the hard work that goes into it. The Govan-based charity helps vulnerable people gain vital skills in maritime construction.
We exist to try and make the world a better place for a whole range of people. Mainly we do that by teaching woodwork to people from a range of backgrounds, many of whom are long-term unemployed, and some of them come from background addiction, but not everybody.
A lot of it is quite intricate, hand-built work. It's more than just a job. It brings people together in a way that you don't get necessarily in other jobs where you're quite separated and doing your own individual work.
The group's most recent creation is a 22-foot St Ayle skiff, which has taken 6 years to complete. All boats have a name, and this one is no exception. She's called River Clyde, which is the Gaelic word for smithy croft, named after the school which helped to build her. When
I first came here 6 years ago, we were building it with a couple of 15-year-old lads who put a whole pile of work into it and came out and rowed it for a while. This boat is number 19 of the fleet in Scotland, and now there are 120 on the water. So it's been a huge thing. It's grown really, really quickly. Now the skiff is finally being put to good use. After being launched on the Clyde, she's been handed over to the newly formed Glasgow Coastal Rowing Club.
Well, some of us knew of GalGael, and we knew they'd built these lovely skiffs, these St Ayle skiffs they're called, and we knew they had one that was lying in the yard a bit underused, and we got talking to them about what we might do, and they said, well, it would be really good if you formed a club and we can lend you the skiff and build up the membership and get the boat out there, get people seeing it and get them interested in getting involved in coastal rowing.
And we're going to row in 3, 2, 1, pull. Nice and gentle to start with.
At her new home on the Clyde, River Clyde will be enjoyed by rowers for years to come. Well, joining me now in the studio is Ben Duffin from GalGael, who we saw in the report, and Ewan Kennedy, who's from Glasgow Coastal Rowing Club. Thank you both for joining me. Coming to you first of all, Ben, tell us a little bit more about GalGael. How did the project get started?
GalGael has been around for about 16 years now. I'll probably get corrected on that in the future. It started as a motorway protest, coming out of protest about the M77. And we like to say the M77 went through. In some ways we lost the protest, but we learned a lot from doing it. And it started out as a way of getting people to come together and do something. And one of the main things that ended up being was building boats. So for many years now, they've been around on the Clyde building boats, traditional boats and traditional crafts of a whole range of things. And I've been there for a couple of years now.
Now, obviously we didn't get the good weather on the day, but how did it feel for you to finally see the St Ayle skiff being launched?
Well, it's nice. I mean, we've launched that boat quite a few times. That was like a time of handing it over to the new Coastal Rowing Club. But it's always a great day to launch a boat.
And the launch did actually get off to a bit of a shaky start. Can you tell us what happened with the oar on the day?
Oh, we just broke an oar. It happens. You always break an oar. There was an oar that was, let's say, imperfectly made and required some hasty replacements. But the nice thing about doing that, and the fact a wooden boat, is it's now back in the workshop and someone's fixing it. So we'll be using it we'll be using it by next week.
So it's all part of the fun.
It's all part of it, yeah.
And Ewan, are you hoping that this boat will encourage people to take up coastal rowing?
Oh, absolutely. Well, of course, it's hardly coastal when it's in the city centre, but coastal rowing has taken off right round the whole shores of Scotland in recent years. Started at the Fisheries Museum on the East Coast, where they started with one skiff, and then everyone started building them, and they're all basically identical, so that and they're built from a kit of planks, so that they can actually be built by the local communities who row them. And it's, to my way of looking at it, it's just a totally wonderful form of community activity. It involves everyone, whether they build the boat, whether they design a T-shirt for it or a flag or something like that, or they get out rowing. And we're certainly hoping that lots and lots of people in Glasgow will get out rowing. It's a very accessible type of activity altogether.
Because you mentioned there accessibility, a lot of beginners come through and they can just pick up an oar and start,
Yes,
can't they?
Don't be misled by the sort of Oxford-Cambridge boat race kind of filming that you sometimes see. The seats are just basically wooden planks that are fixed. The oars don't rotate. They're not made of carbon fibre. Everything's made of wood. It's a very, very simple kind of activity to learn. Having said that, it can be extremely competitive. But it's very easy. We can get people rowing up to a basic level in one session of about 20 minutes or half an hour.
And Ben, a lot of people might not know that a lot of women actually row as well, is that right?
Yeah, they did some surveys recently to find out how many people have got involved in the sport, and I think about 51% of the sport are now women, which is pretty uncommon, I guess, for a new sport. So it's had a major impact, I think, because it never had that gender bias to start with, so it's quite a new thing.
And for you, Ben, you've enjoyed rowing and boat building most of your life. How did you get into it in the first place?
I got into boat building kind of on a whim. I've sailed since I was like a wee tiny kid. I trained as a boat builder 8 years ago now. And I heard about the GalGael and went in to volunteer one day. And I've not left since. So it's kind of always come from
Had a
that.
positive effect on you. And what about yourself, Ewan? What's your kind of background? How did you get into the coastal rowing?
Used to get taken to the seaside at St Abbs when I was a very, very small kid, and all the local kids around there, all actually mainly boys, I have to say, rather than girls, were building their own little boats and going out on the water. And then subsequently I took up amateur boat building as a hobby, as an antidote to all the pressures of day-to-day work. And eventually I got involved in building one of these skiffs up in the Isle of Seal. Mm-hmm. So I've been involved, and I didn't think I would take up the rowing. I thought I would just be involved in building one, but the rowing is utterly fabulous. It takes over your life. It's a tremendous form of quite gentle sporting activity. It's very, very good for my back. I strongly recommend it.
So for you, it's a hobby, Ewan, but people do compete in the sport, don't they?
Well, it's all amateur. Yes, there are pretty aggressive competitions going on right round the coast, and in fact there's a World Championship at Strangford Lough at the end of July of this year, and there'll be some pretty aggressive racing going on out there. I mean, there are crews away up in the far north of Scotland who are in circuit training and weight training, and they're out every night of the week to try and win those trophies. So it can be very competitive.
So if someone's watching this and they think, well, I would quite like to have a go at that, how can they do that, Ewan?
Well, at the moment, the best way to deal with it is to have a look on Facebook at the Glasgow Coastal Rowing Club Facebook page, and we try to get back to anyone who's interested in getting involved. We're obviously looking for someone who'll create a nice website for us. We've no money to pay for it, but that's the whole thing about a community activity, that someone who might not be able to row or want to row could still do something for us. But in the meantime, it's through Facebook, and we'll try and get everybody out. I had about 8 sessions the other night after you've been out.
We'll need to leave it there, but you certainly have tempted me to have a go. Ewan, Ben, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now looking ahead to tomorrow's programme at 10, and we'll be going deeper underground to hear from residents of a Lanarkshire village who could be about to go green. It's thanks to geothermal energy from Scotland's closed mining network. It's thought that water in the mines could be warm enough to be pumped to the surface and used to heat around 700 homes. Schemes like this have already been successful in Holland and Iceland, and residents here hope it could help them too.
We see this as an opportunity not only that the houses would be heated, it's a fantastic opportunity for many people who are in fuel poverty, but also we see it as a great advantage to the village if something can be addressed to alleviate that mine water flooding. So all round it's a win-win situation.
And that's it for now from all of us here in the STV News team. Do enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye-bye.